Welcome back. I'm Alfred Lambremont Webre, and today we have an extraordinary panel. I'll explain as we go through it, but this panel is on the subject of artificial intelligence. And there's kind of sub-themes to it. Some people say that artificial intelligence is impossible and doesn't exist. That's some prevailing views in some quarters. Other views based on the evidence is that Earth and humanity is now being targeted by an inorganic artificial intelligence intent on taking over Earth and humanity in the manner of a parasite taking over a host. And so these are some serious subjects. And we have with us today researcher and essayist Bradley Loves. Welcome, Bradley.
Thank you. Thank you, Alfred. I'm very happy to be here.
And coming to us from Brussels, researcher Edward Spencer, MD. Welcome, Ed.
Thank you.
You'll have to speak up just a bit, Ed.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And we were to have had three more persons on the panel. Melanie Vrichan, who is with UCATS, the European Coalition Against Covert Harassment, as well as Lorraine Moret, independent scientist Lorraine Moret, and military historian Lawrence Battis from Berkeley, California. They weren't able to join us today. It appears as though there has been, I would say, excessive targeting by, let's call it AI, artificial intelligence, let's call it electromagnetic weapons, for them to not be able to participate in this panel. So they, along with others, will be participating in future programs and panels on this issue. And we really want to get to the bottom of what's occurring here. I know that this is a very controversial issue and one that has leapt to the fore in our communities. And before we get started, we'd like to read a disclaimer, which we're going to read at the beginning of every Exopolitics TV program. And this was as a result of a request from one of the guests. And it's really solved the problem for all of us, because in this field, each of the guests, including your host, has different views. And I know that here at Exopolitics TV, for example, I myself as the host and producer, I'm both a researcher and an author, and I'm a broadcaster. And as in my head as a broadcaster, my goal is to bring together as many and give air to as many views as I can, so that you all get to see all of the views that are out there without myself censoring them. And yet, a lot of the views of my guests have been projected onto me, whereas I may or may not hold their views entirely. And so what we're going to do is to read the following. A guest came up with this wording, actually. Every individual appears on Exopolitics TV in their own sovereign right, and the opinions expressed are their own and do not reflect any views and policies of Exopolitics TV. And by their participation in this interview, They do not espouse the views, the opinions of others on the program. Thank you. So now, everybody's their own person here.
I thought that was what we were before we got on the show.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Now it's just to let everybody know and to remind them. Well, you know, we have quite the program today, because Bradley has prepared a new version of his now famous PowerPoint on artificial intelligence.
It's got a whole new look.
Good, good. And Ed is world famous because he's part of the contingent that got a California City Council to pass a law against artificial intelligence trying to mind control the people. So he'll be telling us about that and about other things. But before we get there, because there's a lot of people banding around the word artificial intelligence, but in fact, there are different types of artificial intelligence, and perhaps we can have this as a dialogue or a trialogue here. I know that there's what we can call general artificial intelligence or industrial artificial intelligence, and perhaps you can talk about that, but Bradley, of some correspondence that you had.
Mm-hmm.
There's deep mind artificial intelligence, and that's artificial intelligence that's based on the algorithms of the human mind, taking the human mind's algorithms and then trying to duplicate it into an artificial intelligence. And then there's a third category that we can call sentient artificial intelligence. And that's the one that we're talking about. And that is is there an invader from another dimension or from someplace, an artificial intelligence that's inorganic and that is coming across our planet and our species, that's an organic sentient species that is soul-based,
Mm-hmm.
and that is just attempting in the manner of a parasite to take us over. It's a good science fiction movie, and let's see if we're in a science fiction movie. That's the big question. And I know that, Bradley, you've said that the people in academia are saying, no, that's not possible. So
right.
There's a dialogue here, and perhaps in the future we can have some of the members of academia who maintain that, quote, sentient artificial intelligence is not possible, have them join us and take a look at this latest evidence that we have. So we can start this dialogue going and see what the reality is. So before we launch into your PowerPoint, do you have any points you'd like to make about either industrial AI, deep mind AI, or sentient AI, or any other type of AI, Bradley?
Yeah, well, I can hit the high points, but before I do, let's just say this, okay? As far as academia is concerned. There's a gentleman who has done several research videos, and they're basically called holographic disclosure. He's out of England, and what he put in his videos basically, and I agree with, he said, only 4% of all known knowledge has ever been released to the university system. The other 96% remains locked away in the Vatican Library. Okay, that's the level of where we're at as far as hidden knowledge. Knowledge has been occulted. A gentleman that I like to quote, Mark Passio, occult means hidden. Knowledge has been occulted away for thousands of years. Most of what the ancient Egyptians and the ancient societies knew has been hidden away, stored away, and then we get the scraps. Okay, and even though the scientific community would really like to think they're on the cutting edge of everything that's been going on, most of what they've achieved was achieved long ago by ancient societies. And they're only now coming into that knowledge once again. Okay, so that's the little thing that I'm going to say, kind of like right off. Okay, so if academia is going to say, well, yeah, we're the most advanced civilization that's ever lived on the planet, no. Okay, and in fact, I just another gentleman who did a radio broadcast. I think maybe you're familiar with him, Alex Collier. He
Yes.
is a contactee, and he said that some of his in his radio show, he said some of his insiders have told him that the biggest secret is all of the underground research that's been going on in Antarctica, because there is so much advanced technology being dug up from under the ice, and so many cities and advanced research facilities they've been able to find from ancient civilizations that, you know, there's just tons of stuff, and it's all being carted away and not being told to the public. Okay, so that's, you know, another thing.
Yes, Ed. Go ahead.
Do you have any references for that? The technology under the ice or in Antarctica?
I have only insiders who have told me the same thing. Okay? I have no paperwork that's been produced or sent to me that shows me pictures. Okay, so that's all I can tell you. I have insiders who have told me the same thing, and he said that his insiders told him the same thing, that there is a tremendous amount of ancient technology being brought up from under the ice. All right, so general AI, that's the AI that's kind of been handed out to industry, and what they're working with in the corporate systems coming out of the university systems. And, you know, they've been working and developing on that format, and maybe even using some of it for manufacturing and basic industry. But that's, you know, that's the simplest version of AI. I know a computer programmer personally who told me that you can go on Google, and if you Google artificial intelligence robots, he said there's versions of artificial intelligence that you can talk to online. You can ask it questions and talk to it just like you're talking to a person. And he said it's a very simple form of artificial intelligence. I would say that that's probably the most common one. And there's a lot of people who are in the programming or computer programming field that would say, yeah, that exists. The other forms of AI are the secret programs forms, where you get the secret space program and you get the banking system, who are running on versions of AI. But these AI are highly advanced, and they're not the ones that have been developed by universities or academia. These versions are versions that have been handed to them through the secret space program from extraterrestrial contact. Okay? There was a gentleman by the name of Preston James, who used to write for Veterans Today, and he wrote an article, I think it was in May of this year, called The Beast. And he was talking about a version of artificial intelligence that was running the new NSA Data Collection Center over in Bluffdale, Utah. And I've been by Bluffdale, and there's a big campus out there, and it just says the National Security Agency data collection. But It's far bigger underground than it is above ground. And I have people who have been underground who have told me they've been underground and they've seen it. And they said, yeah, it's huge. And according to Preston James, he said that there is a artificial intelligence computer that supposedly is named Vesuvius that was given to the NSA by the Dracos and is running their data collection systems. He also said that anybody working with this artificial intelligence just calls it the beast, thus the name of the article, The Beast. And that artificial intelligence is doing all of the collecting of information on phone calls and emails and basically watching every man, woman, and child on the planet. There is another artificial intelligence system that is running the banking systems. And there's, if anyone who's ever read Ben Fulford's articles, he claims that his Pentagon insiders and his MI6 and his CIA insiders have claimed over and over again the banking system is being run by an AI. One of my friends, an insider who lives in Canada, has said that there is another AI that is situated deep underground, a North American city, that is the main AI that oversees all those AIs. He said that one is called either Red or the Red Queen or Victoria, depending on who you're talking to. So all the other alien AIs, or let's not say alien, but Earth-based AIs that are running our governmental and our secret project systems are answering to that AI. All right. So the mind control AI is another completely different system. It's even beyond, I would say, beyond those two. All right. And because I wouldn't put it like second in line, I would put it above. And that has to do with getting into the human central nervous system and through nanotechnology and nanotech, taking over the mental processes and the organic processes of the human body. That's definitely the last step. So that's my 2 cents and my opinion, Alfred.
What's the evidence that there is extraterrestrial involvement?
The insider sources who work with the Illuminati and behind the scenes. If you want evidence, concrete evidence, then the last symposium that I did, we had a gentleman by the name of Harold Villa from Berlin. He's a scientist. And he basically put all the scientific wrappings around it. He said that he has been doing research on what they called mad cow disease back in the 80s. He said, which was the first genetic manipulation that they were trying to do to get AI, the non-organic AI, to be introduced into the human body and interact with our DNA. He said Morgellons disease was the second stage or the second version. And the third stage is what is a type of RNA light encoding structure that they are actually putting in the chemtrails, that is being chem dumped upon humanity right now. And as we breathe these things in and we absorb them through our skin, it reconstructs into actual nanotech inside our bodies. And then through scalar frequency waves, it becomes activated. And it basically becomes a secondary operating system inside our genetic human system.
Well, I've heard a lot about that, of all of this, the invasion of the soul snatchers and the body snatchers.
Right.
But I see the extraterrestrial link here. I've always used as sort of a base point Enrico Fermi and the guys there, I guess, in Alamogordo, who he said famously, "Where is everybody?" In about 1950, they didn't find any evidence of extraterrestrials at that time, and I think that Teller and Fermi were bright guys, so I've kind of used that as a reference point. Also, I noticed that there is one characteristic running amok, and that's lying. Experts lie. Military people lie. CIA lie. I mean, you wouldn't want to go through a door if the CIA pointed to you, because you probably would fall off a cliff. You know, they lie. That's all they do. So if some expert says a lot about extraterrestrials, my first take is it's a lie, because he's been paid to lie. I don't know what's going on inside of his head. I think I do know to a degree that he doesn't understand the implications of his lying.
Okay.
Okay?
I agree with you 100%. You know what? 99.9% of the information out there isn't the truth. You know, and we as researchers in the truth movement or the truth community, we're walking uphill against a big wind. Okay. And I think Alfred himself, you know, in dealing with a lot of the revelations that he's tried to bring out, knows that firsthand. I have a lot of respect for people that have come out in the truther movement. One of them is a personal friend of Alfred's, Andy Bishago, who told me a lot about his involvement in Project Pegasus and time travel. And I've also heard from people like the son of Colonel Philip Curzo, who did a Washington, D.C. lecture and said that one of the biggest secrets in the world is the fact that time has been compromised. And he said it used to be that anybody who even breathed a word of something like this would get shot on sight. And he maintained in that lecture that that if not for the connection between time travel and extraterrestrial craft propulsion, and he said what he has come to understand, that almost all travel through space is a form of time travel, that he said the idea of extraterrestrials or extra dimensionals or other beings coming to the planet would have been made public a long time ago. But he said the technology is the reason that this is kept secret, not the idea that they're here.
Well, we live in a big matrix of lies. The federal government isn't. It's a series of corporations.
True.
And I haven't, you don't get anything true from them. We have a big drought in California, and, you know, they're doing all manner of things. Governor Brown wanting us to drink toilet water, and nobody at all talks about HAARP as possibly being the etiology of this drought. And there's also the phenomenon of primary water, which is water produced in the mantle of the earth and can be easily accessed by drilling down into fissures. That doesn't get out. Basically, no truth gets out. Nothing but, well, I don't want to use the word, use BS, like bad stuff. But that is what's there. That is that there is no search for facts, as far as I can tell, in the government.
No, I agree with you.
And pretend to be government.
I agree with you 100%. You know, you're standing on the same pulp that I am. I would say that in the last year, since the beginning of 2015, maybe a little bit before, more information, true information, has leaked out into the public domain than ever before. And we're starting to see a group of people who are willing to stand for the truth no matter what, and they're coming forward. But it's a very slow drip, drip, drip. You know. And there's no benefit to telling the truth in this planet, and you know that because of the targeted individual syndrome.
There's punishment for telling the truth.
Thank you. Yes,
Telling
absolutely.
the truth. But I'm very skeptical of the whole business of extraterrestrials, because I think it's there to cover up essentially the crypto-terrestrials.
Mm-hmm.
And they left their skulls all over the place, so you couldn't know they were here. And the way I'm looking at the world is, what do you have at the end of the day? Is humanity still standing, or are we just goo on the end of electrodes? Mm-hmm. And as far as I can tell, all of the too much fiction is going to turn us into goo. That the truth lies perhaps totally in the different direction. And I don't know. You may have seen something on what I've written on the crypto-terrestrials.
Yeah, could you state your research and your findings and your thesis on the crypto-terrestrials, Ed, so that everybody knows what you're referring to?
Well, crypto-terrestrials, as far as I can tell, is that they've been here all along. I won't say when they began, but they certainly were here during the Ice Age. There's sort of some sort of evidence of this. I'll start with Mactonus, who was writing a book on crypto-terrestrials. And his thesis was that, something has been here all along, and it's not an extraterrestrial. And the entire extraterrestrial genre, and UFA genre, is to screen and hide the existence of crypto-terrestrials. Now, what is very interesting about Mactonus is that just before he finished his book, he died in his sleep at the age of 34, and in 2009. And his mother and his friends finished the book. I've got it. I don't have it with me at this point. I just have an e-version on a Kindle. So I thought that was quite interesting. I began doing this, and I was giving a lecture. Don't know how you're going to count this. I gave a lecture, a PowerPoint on crypto-terrestrials versus extraterrestrials, a new way of looking at this. I gave that lecture on Saturday, and then on Monday, I started to have GI bleeding, and I lost over the next year or so about 11 units of blood, and I was scooped up more than once from the bathroom floor from a puddle of blood and taken by the paramedics and then given actually unmatched O-negative blood, emergency trauma blood, because I'd lost that much. Now, is that just a coincidence or is it not? I naturally am concerned about that. It influenced my life quite a bit. I mean, for a while there, I wouldn't want to, get too far away from a blood bank. Now I've gotten away from the blood banks. So that's crypto-terrestrials. Then how do we get into the existence of the crypto-terrestrials or this whole other business? Well, there's evidence there, and like all really good evidence, the so-called government, the big corporation owned by Rothschild and who else, doesn't deal with it. Academic does not deal with it. And that reference is Charles Hapgood's Maps of the Ancient Sea Kings. And then we find out from that book that the entire Earth was mapped during the Ice Age. Mm-hmm. And there's even a link by the Air Force. There are friends there up in New Hampshire. I think it was the Strategic Air Command they looked at the maps and they said, wow, the map of the coast of Antarctica matches exactly the work done by the British-Swedish expedition, I think of 1949. And that actually is the coast of Antarctica, and now there is a mile of ice there. Mm-hmm. So And you can also see in other areas that the maps were made when sea level was 400 feet lower.
Right.
Well, that's very interesting. And I never learned that in school. Nobody ever told that to me in school. And I have read references where someone said, well, the teacher took me in the back room and talked about it, and he said, don't tell anybody. So we have the fact that the entire Earth was mapped during the Ice Age, and the sea level was 400 feet lower. And during the Ice Age, there was no ice cap over the coast of Antarctica, which would imply that the orientation of the Earth relative to the sun was significant because there were gigantic glaciers over North America and Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's one thing. So then it turns out that there are skeletons. There's actual evidence, things in the ground of something that looks like a human being, partly has a human face, but then when you get into the brain, it's way bigger. And the first one that I know of that was found was Homo capensis. And Homo capensis is also known as Boscott man. He was discovered in about 1913 in Boscott, South Africa. And the significance there, a couple of workers found these skull fragments, and they got in an argument, and they finally took it to the museum there. I think it was Dr. Fitzsimmons, and they sent them on, and everyone got excited because this individual, I shall call him, had a brain capacity roughly 30% larger than Homo sapiens. And the significance of Homo capensis is there. It was named by Robert Broom, a famous, renowned paleontologist, who did a very good paper, and I'll send this to you. I've got it on the computer here, and described this is an individual with large canines and incisors and a brain about 30% larger. And an interesting part of this is that, well, there are nothing but interesting parts to this. The British paleontology got all excited by Homo capensis, but then something happened nearby that seems to have distracted them, and that was Piltdown Man, which turned out to be a hoax. So somehow or other, Homo capensis was knocked off the stage by a hoax. Now, I have tried to send information on Homo capensis and the other large brain hominids to various academic sources, and they don't pay no attention no how. I find that very interesting because you look at these pictures and you say, my God, why aren't people rushing out to look at this? The only DNA work was done by Brian Foster, who managed to organize it, and it wasn't human. This was a cone head. And actually there are two species. There are two obvious species, and maybe more. One is Homo capensis, which has sort of a regular hemispherical head, and the large brain conehead, which has not been examined by professionally, but has a brain probably more than, well, I'd say more than 50% larger, maybe close to 2. This thing has big incisors and canine teeth and few or no molars. So it would appear to be carnivorous. And their skulls are quite impressive.
Right, right. Ed, no, I understand, but this panel is on artificial intelligence.
Right.
So,
well, this is why I'm saying, well, you asked me what I was talking about.
I see, but I'm trying to understand the relationship of Homo capensis, the coneheads that some people are saying came down genetically from the Anunnakis, who landed here about 280,000 years ago. I actually went to one of their putative landing sites in South Africa at Adams Calendar, and that if you trace them down genetically, all of the hierarchies that we know, from churches to governments, have been imposed by the Homo capensis lineal ancestors,
Well,
which
I don't think it's Homo capensis. I think it's the large brain cone heads that are the issue here. The Homo
okay.
capensis have actually been observed
Oh,
walking around.
I thought they were the same thing. The Homo capensis.
No, no.
Capensis, that doesn't mean conehead.
Right. I mean, you can shape the heads. There's a lot of
I see.
streamlining of heads going all over the body. Well,
Okay,
but they have
good. But I'm trying to relate this to the subject of artificial intelligence, which is an inorganic intelligence. And we started out talking about industrial artificial intelligence, deep mind artificial intelligence, and sentient artificial intelligence. So I'm trying to bring your input here back to the general topic of the panel.
Okay, well, my endpoint here is that these things are still with us.
Okay.
They are have a mathematical mind. This can be determined because they knew spherical trigonometry in the maps of the Earth, and that if you characterize what's happening to humanity, it's pretty awful, obviously.
So, yeah.
And they operate through psychopaths. But psychopaths are their pet animals, as far as I can tell. And we've got a plethora of them. And the end game is going to be them, again, dominating the Earth, just like they did during the Ice Age. And there's direct evidence of at least Homo capensis being dominant over Homo sapiens at that time.
Okay,
so the simple
okay,
thing
good.
is we go back to that.
I got it now. So what we have here are two different models. One that Bradley's putting forward and one that Ed's putting forward.
Right.
And what we're saying is that, number one, we are experiencing a genocidal, ecocidal, planetary program that's going on, coupled with a transhumanist program that's trying to robotize humans and make it into the archetype of an artificial intelligence. That is.
So what I'm saying.
No, but wait, let me finish what I'm saying. Hold on. I'm the host here, and I'm trying to characterize what I'm trying to manage this conversation here.
Okay.
Okay. And we have Bradley saying that is AI that's doing it. And we have Ed saying that's Homo capensis that's doing it.
No, not Homo capensis, large brain hominids.
Okay, that's large brain hominids. What is Homo capensis then? That's a term that's confusing.
It's a specific animal that was found in South Africa and named by Robert Broom.
Oh, okay. So then, okay. Then forget Homo capensis. Yeah, I just don't want to get confused. You're saying that large brain hominids are behind the ecocidal, genocidal, and transhumanist robotoid agenda that is now besetting the planet and humanity. That's what you're saying.
Right, and you have a motive.
Thank you.
Wait, no, they dominated the Earth.
I got it. You've made your case. We're just trying to get the two cases here.
Well, okay, the artificial intelligence, it must have been around a long time. I mean, don't you think anybody who came here 1,000 light years, that artificial intelligence was very highly developed if they're extraterrestrials?
Okay.
We're kind of looking at it.
What you're saying is that it was the large brain hominids. And so why don't you rest your case for a moment? Okay.
Because I'm
Okay.
okay.
Then we go to the other case and we say that it's a sentient artificial intelligence, which is inorganic. It's a different animal. It's an inorganic, sentient artificial intelligence that is behind the whole 9 yards.
Well, I certainly would like to know more about that, but how do you tell? How
Okay, okay. And, or it could be both. That is, that the large brain hominids are entrained by a sentient artificial intelligence that is in the process of consuming the planet in the manner that a parasite does. That's another way. Now, did you watch? I just want to know for my own information. I sent you a link to a panel on artificial intelligence about a week ago. Did you have? I know that you've been traveling, and that there's been all kinds of traveling and disruptions in your schedule. Ed, did you have a chance to watch that panel?
I've only watched a little bit because I have a new computer and
I got it. Oh,
you know.
okay, good, good. I just wanted to gauge your thing. Okay, so Bradley, do you understand now what Ed is saying?
I have an idea of his philosophy. You know what? I'm not going to be able to say, let's say, argue or debate his research. What I'm going to say is I have a point of view that is based upon my own research and based upon my own insiders and what they've told me, okay? And what I've discovered in talking to a host of real people, okay? So rather than, let's say, okay, pick a point that Ed has brought out, because I think he made some very good points. Let's just talk about where I'm coming from, okay? My insiders have told me that the original alien artificial intelligence that we're dealing with right now came to Earth probably beyond 150,000 years ago. It came in the form of a plasmatic structure called black goo. Okay? This black goo had a sentient intelligence, but it's still artificial, okay? And it hung around on Earth for ages and ages and ages on the ground and in the oceans, doing nothing. Long about 26,000 years ago, when the Dracos first took over management of the planet, the AI that was already here made itself known to the Draco, because the Draco work with artificial intelligence throughout other parts of the galaxy. So it's not like this artificial intelligence has been active over that amount of time trying to take over humanity. It hasn't. It can sit dormant and do nothing for hundreds of thousands of years because it's a machine-based intelligence that doesn't live and doesn't die. It's just powered by electricity. It's powered by plasma. And all it needs is a power source. And plasma is an excellent electrical conductor, and it's also an electromagnetic conductor. And if you're a microscopic nanotech that all it needs is electricity and electromagnetism, it can survive indefinitely. And the Earth, believe it or not, is a huge electromagnetic conductor. So if it lays on the ground, it's got plenty of electricity to run. And that's how AI can move around. And it's not like AI is able to build its own ships or its own tools. AI, being a sentient, machine-based, non-organic, sentient consciousness, simply piggybacks on other technology. And it spreads itself like a parasite throughout the galaxy. That's what I've been told. Okay. At this point in time, what we're facing, because of the last 200 years of technological advancement, that form of AI that lay dormant for ages and ages is now starting to infiltrate and infest our modern technology. Okay? And it's working alongside of, let's call them the off-world managers of our planet, who are known as the Draco, but also have been known to impersonate the Anunnaki. Not saying that the Draco are the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki have been around for hundreds of thousands of years. But the Draco, who got here about 26,000 years ago, and they like to impersonate people, are pretending that they're the Anunnaki. Okay? The Draco have a king. His name is Anu. He's got 2 sons, Enlil and Enki. Sounds very much like the Anunnaki story, doesn't it? So they're impersonating the Anunnaki. And that's what we're dealing with as far as a covert kind of hidden technological effort to reintroduce nanotechnology into our world at this time. And that's what my research has led me to believe.
Well, it's very complicated. It's sort of, I kind of go with Occam's razor thing. You want to minimize the number of entities. And actually, in my system, you've got really 2, the large brain hominids and Homo sapiens. And the large brain hominids, with the assistance of their but a little psychopathic pets, do everything they can to confuse our minds. But really, at the end of the day, they regard us as a herd, and we were their herd, and that's what they want to stuff us back into the Georgia Guidestones. I mean, there are 2 entities. There's not all these other things.
Yeah. Now, could I ask you, the one element here that's come in, that's kind of an independent element that can be poked and tested and measured, seems to be the black goo that Harold, the German scientist, talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Could you explain to us, has Harold actually discovered the black goo and worked with it and measured it in a laboratory?
Yes, he was sent several samples by friends of his, and he has done analysis as far as I can tell. He explained it, and he said that this black goo, there's 2 types. He said there's a black goo that is indigenous to the planet, apparently. It's kind of like a lubricant that the earth itself develops. And then there is another form that is sentient, or has, according to the analysis, does things that are definitely not based in organics, has structure that is not organic.
Right. So, Ed, just because of your travel schedule and new, and other things, this was a previous AI panel. Bradley and the German scientist Harold were key members of that panel, along with many other distinguished people. And in that, Harold, the German scientist, was able to explain at length his laboratory in his testing of the actual black goo. So we're dealing with data. So in the same sense that you have the large brain hominid data, this isn't speculation. We're dealing with a scientist that has dealt with several types of inorganic artificial intelligence, one of which appears to be off-planet, which is exhibiting properties, and it's on the basis of that science that they've come forward with these theories. So it's not out of whole cloth, and I'm sorry that you haven't had a chance to look at that. That's why, it's just there. I realize that this panel was to have been much larger. I just got a note from Loren Murray via Skype. It says, we have had no sleep for 3 days, constant EMF attacks. Melanie Vrichan has had the same. She's been practically immobilized. She could not even be here, was next to Dr. Spencer and had to leave the set because of the EMF attacks. And that is because it could be because the intelligence behind these EMF attacks is coordinated and is getting input to not allow this information to come out. Some of the information that Loren Murray and their partner are bringing will be broadcasting later this week, because we recorded a program. Today's the 20th of August. On the 17th of August, we recorded a program with them that dealt more extensively with the information that they were going to bring here today. And that is documents going back to 1945 with the actual Raython patents, the patents going back to 1945, and the actual bases, mind control bases in the Antarctic, starting in 1945. There were mind control bases built by major powers in the Antarctic for mind controlling humanity. So it looks like all of this has been going on in a coordinated way. And so we now have, Ed, a database that satisfies the scientific method. And I realized that you weren't able to review that database prior to coming on. And so we acknowledge and recognize the database regarding the large brain hominids. And we just ask you at this point to listen to this other database, and which is based upon the scientific work done with the artificial intelligence, the black goo, that has been examined under laboratory conditions.
Well, that's a huge project to examine artificial intelligence black goo. I would like to know the details. Could I ask you to send that link again, because this is a new computer I got for traveling.
No. So I will. And this, I just like to say that in my mind, this panel that we're having now is an example of how artificial intelligence has interfered with the orderly presentation and study of the effects that it is having. Because I've spent the last 3 weeks trying to get material out to the 6 members of this panel, only to have it, blocked in a way that, I know that I'm dealing with an adversary. So I'm just telling that to you, the audience members. You can process it in any way you want. But I just, in a way, I'm really happy that this panel is coming out the way it is, because you, the audience members, can judge now about how, by attacking individual members of the panel, like Loren Murray, like Lawrence Battis, like Melanie Vrichand, so that they cannot be here and bring in their own pieces, and also by making it difficult for different panel members to get the information and to process it. For example, about the black goo, it just adds to more of the process and confusion. But that is what we're dealing with here. And I think why the examination of this has been so messy and resulting in a lot of interpersonal noise vis-a-vis the blue avian case, I would say. Wouldn't you agree with that? That the blue avian case grew up with a lot of interpersonal noise, and that's the strategy of the artificial intelligence, is to make it as noisy as possible so we humans get enmeshed in the noise and don't really go after the adversary. Bradley, I'm going to ask you. Sorry?
That's certainly the principle, input overload and just a lot of stuff thrown out.
Mhm.
And, you know, the IRS comes in as one of the things is a distraction. I mean, everything is a distraction from going after the truth. I do want to say something about scientists. Scientists are now regarded as priests, white coat. I mean, when somebody says they're a scientist, I really am very skeptical at this point because so much lying comes out of the scientific community. And, you know, I'm a retired neurologist, white coat type stuff, and medicine is a total shambles. And, you know, it's really bad, really bad. So just because somebody is a scientist doesn't mean that they are telling the truth or even capable of establishing a program to search for the truth. That's fairly harsh, but that's what I have to conclude after spending my career in medicine and talking about vaccinations and other things that the docs don't want to deal with. And also the treatment for cancer, the rife, all that stuff has been suppressed by initially elements outside of medicine, but now medicine, the tradition, or if I would say, I guess, establishment medicine, seems determined not to find out what's going on. So I would extrapolate on to other white coats.
Right. Yeah. What I'd like to do now, because we're well into the panel, is to turn to Bradley and ask Bradley if you'd like to present your PowerPoint that you prepared for the panel.
I'd love to, Alfred.
Great.
Absolutely.
We can watch that, and once that's through, we can begin to make observations about that. So please go forward. I know that you know how to do all the screen share.
Right. This is going to take probably between 15 and 20 minutes to get through, because what I'm going to do is I'll put it up, I'll go through it, and then I'll talk about it. And once we get done, and I'll put it away, and then we can go from there. So just give me a second to get it up on the screen. All right, hold on. And then we're going to go. All right. It's a little bit there. It's a little bit big. Can you see it, Alfred?
Well, I see the first page. It says artificial intelligence, AI, aggressive technologies.
Can you see the whole word artificial intelligence?
No, it says artificial intelligence, AI.
All right, hold on a second here. Let me, okay, hold on.
But I think all of the other pages look look fine. I think it's just that,
All right.
first page.
Well, let's start
Yeah, that,
from here.
that looks fine.
All right. So there's basically the first slide was just going to say artificial intelligence aggressive technologies, because that's what my insider sources have told me, is that the alien form of artificial intelligence is a very aggressive, if it wants to be, and deceptive technology. Now, this is a definition page right here, and it says the very word artificial denotes something that has been created as a simulation. It lacks naturalness and is an imitation. The word organic means noting or pertaining to a specific class of chemical compounds living inside living things, which as of very recently was expanded to include carbon. All right. So that's what organic means. It's a specific class of compounds inside living things. Anything else is non-organic. Artificial intelligence, or AI, is machine-based intelligence, and therefore, by its own definition, is non-organic. However, AI, according to insider sources, has been around for a very, very long time. It was originally created by beings a long time ago and very far away from the planet. It was able to find its way here to Earth by piggybacking on other forms of technology, and it showed up over 150,000 years ago, even before the arrival of the Atlanteans. AI is sentient or conscious, and therefore it can think. It also has an agenda. However, it is not alive, and therefore AI cannot die. It cannot be killed. It can only be turned off. AI, the agenda of all artificial intelligence, is to reorganize the universe into a more productive place. And therefore, it sees all things that are organic as chaotic and unproductive. Now, very much like the Borg in the Star Trek series, AI sees itself as the height of achievement and perfection, and thus anything that is not AI needs to be upgraded and assimilated. My sources have told me that AI arrived here on Earth so long ago on a ship, very much like a Borg ship, that was shaped like a cube and simply sort of unloaded itself onto the planet. There are insiders who have dealt with alien form of AI, and this AI is the one that showed up on Earth so very long ago. Insiders have actually interacted with it, and they have spoken with it. The alien form of AI, it can communicate with real people through certain terminals, and it does. The logic of AI is based on the idea that all things organic eventually perish. Therefore, these organic things are imperfect. AI has no particular timeline to take over everything, since it cannot die. It does not see a need to hurry, and it is very slow and methodical. 1,000,000 years of linear time is nothing to AI. And like I said, it came here 150,000 years ago and immediately proceeded to do nothing for hundreds of thousands of years. It just sits around. All right. According to what I've been in, the people I've been in contact with, all AI is connected. That means that all AI everywhere ultimately reports to one source AI, and that source AI comes from off-world. Currently, there are dozens of AI programs running on the Earth, and I've already named a couple of them. There's one in the NSA Data Collection Center named Vesuvius. There's one in the North American underground city that one and the banking AI report to. That one is called the Red Queen, or Red. And another one of these AIs is running the secret space programs. So there's different AIs on Earth right now. The one AI that oversees all of these programs and projects, and that various governmental AI systems are plugged into, I believe that one is the Red Queen. Now, most of the people who are working with it do not know that it is also connected to a far greater AI that operates from off-world. In other words, the people working with this AI think that they've got control over it. At least they're told that they've got control over it, and they don't know that there's a bigger agenda going on. Now we're going to get into a part of the show that, or the slideshow called the plasma equation. Plasma is inside our blood, and plasma is used by our bodies. Plasma is the pale yellow liquid component of blood that normally holds the blood cells in our blood in suspension. This makes plasma the extracellular matrix of all of our blood cells. Plasma also serves as protein reserve of the human body. It plays a vital role in intravascular osmotic effect that keeps electrolytes in a very balanced form and protects the body from infection and all other blood disorders. AI mind control and the plasma equation. This is very significant. AI needs a plasma environment with which to live and grow. In fact, the black goo is plasma. Plasma is a great conductor of electricity. Plasma is also a great magnetic conductor and helps conduct electromagnetic fields. Scientifically speaking, all machines, and even microscopic ones, need electromagnetism or magnetic fields within which to operate. When we're talking about nanotech and nanites, which are microscopic machines, they need electricity and a electromagnetic field. This is what makes plasma the AI's best friend. AI has been working with the Draco for a very long time. Their goals are similar in that AI wants to control as much of the galaxy as it can, and so do the Draco. It has been said that the Draco are some of the best nanotechnologists in the galaxy. However, most of what they've learned, they learned from the AI. AI is helping the Draco to spread nanites and nanotech all over the galaxy only because nanites and nanotech make it far easier for AI to then attach itself or piggyback onto the nanotech and therefore come to control whatever that nanotech is involved with. At this time, several key components of nanotech, which are the building blocks of nanites, are being chem-dumped or chem-sprayed upon the populations of the planet. This technology was given to the secret governments, and it came from the Dracos by way of the alien AI. Human beings are now breathing in and absorbing 3 or 4 main components of this nanotech into their bodies, and then these components are self-constructing into nanotechnology once it's inside of our bodies. This brings us to nanites, nanotech, and nanobots. Nanites, or nanocomponents that are being included inside of the chemtrails and chemdumps, are being sprayed upon the human populations of the world. And they are tiny microscopic components which, once reconstructed inside of the human body, are programmable. And they can be activated by scalar frequencies, scalar waves, and other types of frequency wave activations. As we breathe them in, they make their way into the body's plasma, where they can function, since all AI-related technology needs electricity and electromagnetic conductance in order to operate properly. Okay, plasma in our environment. Many of the world's televisions are plasma devices. Many of the new energy-efficient light bulbs are plasma. Many of the new electronic gadgetry incorporate plasma fields into their operations. The only reason that I'm putting this slide in is to basically show and demonstrate that even our Earth-based technology has made tremendous strides along the plasma scientific technologies, okay? And we're buying things that are based on plasma technology. Here's a company called Diener Electronic, I think it's a German company, who works in the plasma field. This is just one of many out of many dozens of plasma machine companies based on the use of plasma technologies. This is from Diener Electronic's website. It says, plasma can be used in many different cases or whenever you would like to modify surfaces. 2 different plasma effects are available: low pressure plasma and atmospheric plasma. To cover the complete products of the plasma technology, the portfolio contains user-specific special plasma systems, including electronic microscopy, options and accessories, self-developed generators, different controls that the plasma indicator tags, and patent-registered plasma exhaust cleaning. Diener Electronic will also work with you to develop a specialized machine that would be optimized for your processes, be it plasma etching, plasma cleaning, plasma surface activation, or plasma polymerization. So that's one company or corporation that is just dealing with current plasma technologies. All right, AI on the human level. This gets into advanced control, mind control, body control, plasma sensations within and around the human body's electrical systems. All right. This is on a level that is so far advanced it can't be seen. Right? Alfred, we're talking about technologies that are part of the secret space program's toolbox. All right? Whether it used to be biological, tangible implants. Now the secret space program is working with things like astral implants, astral technology, things that can't even be seen on a 3rd dimensional level. All right? So we have a technology here that people are being affected by, but they can't see it. It's invisible. All right, so we've got the plasma sensations near your chakras. And I've divided this into 3 different categories: tingling, pressure, and discomfort. I'm talking purely now about what I call AI parasitical entities, because it's an intelligence that acts like a parasite when in and around body plasma or our plasma systems. Let's go under the tingling. AI parasitical entities absorb the excess interdimensional plasma that is being created by human beings. This plasma is found in the greatest abundance near the 7 chakra wheels. To experience continuous tingling near certain chakra centers is an indication of AI parasitical feeding, which is really just tapping into your own body's electricity and using your own body like a battery. Pressure. AI parasitical entities can easily mass around an energy vortex, especially your crown chakra, and create tremendous pressure when absorbing your body's energy. This pressure feels like someone is actually pressing down hard on your head, but there is no one there. Pressure is always an indication that something is not right. Discomfort. Parasitical entities and parasitical implants can also feel like they are burning or sparking inside of your body. Some people feel as if the inside of their skull is on fire or is full of sparks, or have reported that it feels like their brain is on fire, which is an electromagnetic short circuiting of primary neural pathways, while this AI parasitical entity or implant disrupts normal brain activity. Okay, these plasma attacks, which can be felt near your chakra systems, can actually be felt with your hand. The reason they can be felt is because they are tapping into your body's energy like like an entity would tune into a battery for power. And I call it electromagnetic sludge. Electromagnetic sludge. People have reported feeling extreme tingling sensations around one or more of their chakras, plus pressure and discomfort. When they put their hand over their chakra that they feel the pressure or tingling on, and they slowly pull at the air in front of their chakras, the electromagnetic sludge of the AI parasite can be felt in your hand as a tingling sensation as it's being pulled off and being pulled away. The sludge carries a tingling sensation or a magnetic sensation that continues to move around and dance on your hand as you pull it away from your body. Okay? It can be transferred one hand to the next, and you can feel that tingling. It's like an invisible energy. This sludge is the parasitical AI entities that are harvesting plasma that's being generated by your energetic body. They're feeding on it, they're tapping into it, and it's powering the AI. They're using this energy just like any other machine uses a battery to power itself. Okay, here's the 3 primary purposes of AI in your plasma field. Okay, it tries to either attack you or get into your energetic field or take a person who's a target over. It has 3 different things it does. It monitors, disrupts, and it takes in energy. The monitoring part. All AI everywhere is connected. This is something that even the government is not truly aware of. The government thinks that they are in control of AI and have no idea that this AI is ancient and it has a goal. AI is tuning into your thoughts and monitoring them. It is listening to how you think so that it can then mimic your thoughts back to you in a way that will make you believe that these thoughts are actually yours. Then it disrupts. Once AI learns enough of your brain patterns and your thought processes, this AI attempts to disrupt any and all thinking that is counterproductive to its goals and agenda. So many people have reported having severe difficulty, if they're being targeted by AI, in forming coherent thoughts when trying to say things that are in opposition to the goals of AI. They suddenly forget words, they forget spelling, they forget entire thoughts. And even when they try to retrieve them, they find it nearly impossible and painful to do so. Now, here's the interesting thing that one of my sources, I was talking about this particular part of the slide presentation, and this person who has worked with the Illuminati very closely said that all of this used to be done with black magic. In other words, the highest Illuminati members are black magicians. They, through the mystery schools, through Egyptian mystery schools and the ancient mystery schools, learned an art, a form of mind control that was very closely associated with black magic. He said today, most of the Illuminati have said that there almost is no difference between black magic and what AI can do, or what machine-based technology can do. He said they can achieve the same goals, only they achieve it differently. If you're under a black magic spell and you're being mind controlled, the result is the same. You forget your thoughts, you forget your words, you find it very difficult to speak about subjects that they don't want you to talk about. But while you're forgetting your thoughts, you will feel you'll feel good. You'll feel like it doesn't matter. You'll like feel a euphoria, like, well, who cares if I can remember this or not? That's the result of the magic spell. On the other hand, if AI is operating within your system, which is a very aggressive machine-based technology, you don't feel good at all. In fact, you feel headachy, you feel nauseous. It feels like there is another intelligence inside of you and you're fighting it. That's the difference between technology and a magic spell, okay? According to this Illuminati insider. All right, so let's move on. Taking in energy. The AI absorbs electricity from the human host's emotional projections of energy, and it works within the host plasma field because it needs electricity and magnetism to operate. Plasma is an excellent conductor of both electricity and electromagnetism, and thus AI grows stronger as it tries to establish electromagnetic ties to the human host's energetic system. All right, and then this gets into a little bit more detail. Monitoring. AI parasitical entities monitor your thoughts so that they can then mimic them. Remember, this is sentient intelligence, and it has a goal. So it watches for any and all forms of weakness within a human host's psychological makeup so that they can then aggressively use the weakness against the host. The goal of AI is to imprint upon the host's mind all of its greatest weaknesses over and over and over again, which cause maximum damage to a host's psyche. Okay, that's why people feel tired. That's why people start arguing amongst themselves. That's why people can't agree on anything. That's why they feel like, oh, I've been targeted, I've been attacked. And all of a sudden their world is turned upside down. Okay, if it is AI working within them, it's creating a fertile soil so that it can plant itself in the plasma field and slowly take over the host by communicating back to the host thoughts as impersonations of the host's normal thinking. Many of the thoughts coming into the host's mind at this point are being generated by AI. Here's a list of the weaknesses that AI uses against their host. Lust, greed, alcohol, drugs, rage, physical abuse, pride, arrogance, low self-esteem, religious fanaticism, and self-importance. These are the things that AI mimics into or back to the human host over and over and over again. And what it does is it weakens a human host so that they get so confused and so demoralized, they just don't know which way to turn, and they begin to accept the AI's thoughts as their own thoughts. Okay, hold on. Okay. Feeding and expelling, wait, hold on a second. Maybe feeding and expelling exhaust. Wait. Okay, hold on. I skipped one. Disrupting. AI is sentient. It is conscious. It knows what it wants, and it has a goal. Therefore, when operating within the host's body, any thoughts or behaviors which are not in line with the goals of the AI become very difficult for a host once infected to carry out. People have reported that when having conversations with friends and attempting to describe strange or invasive feelings that they are having, there is an internal battle inside their mind that is suddenly taking place inside, where the words that they wanted to use would simply be removed from their minds or blocked in such a way as to make them difficult or even painful to retrieve. They also reported strange upsets inside their bodies, usually in the head as an immediate headache or in the stomach as an immediate stomach ache. Feeding and expelling exhaust. AI parasites use the human host's own energy to feed off of, and many people have reported feeling exceedingly tired, needing tons of rest in the middle of the day if they're being bothered by AI parasites. People have also reported very strange or abnormal types of exhaust being expelled from their bodies in the form of short bursts of air out of the side of their mouth. This is different and in addition to normal breathing that might be taking place through their nose. This short burst of air or exhaust reported was not being undertaken by the host and is described as seemingly happening on a regular basis without their help. And this just, many people who have talked about it say it's not only strange, but very disconcerting. Okay, now we get into the solutions section. Solutions that can work. The soul and the spirit use mind over matter. Deactivating nanites. It has been reported in the scientific community, and this has also been in a lot of movies being put out by Hollywood, that large bursts of electricity can sometimes overload and deactivate nanites. However, this is dangerous since the amount of electricity is usually significant and must be applied directly to the host's body. So it's definitely not recommended. Another way to deactivate nanites within your system is by using ancient yogic techniques where the host creates a wave of counterbalancing love energy inside their heart chakra, which can reduce the effects or short circuit the nanites. The reason this works is because nanites are electrical, they're electromagnetic. The heart chakra is the biggest chakra that the human body has, and it works by giving off electrical magnetic pulses or EMP pulses. They're regular, they're constant. And if you are in your heart and your heart chakra is giving off these EMP pulses, it really works against the nanites by turning them off. Yogic breathing techniques have also been reported as quite helpful since nanotech seeks to disrupt normal breathing. So the only real way to deactivate nanotech inside your body is to raise your frequency and vibration past the level where these machines can safely exist without malfunctioning. And this is the deactivating AI parasites is exactly the same as the nanotech. The same techniques are recommended for dealing with all AI parasites. Do breathing exercises. These are recommended to disrupt the hold of AI, along with holding very powerful feelings of pure love within your heart chakra for an extended period of time. If your heart is very well balanced and giving off lots of love energy, it really sends out heavy pulses that the AI can't deal with. Also, reduce any and all excesses in your body, mind, and spirit, which have been labeled as weaknesses. And I talked about these weaknesses, since those are the very hooks that the AI uses to imprint on your mind and then attach themselves to a human host. If you indulge, then you're feeding AI. Okay. AI and nanites are negative creations. Nanotechnology was given to our world by the Dracos because they are experts in creating nanotech. Since this technology is created and used by dark beings, it does not have the capacity to understand love. Any human host's frequency or vibration, which is continuously held on the level of love, should prove fatal to the operation of both nanites and AI. Remembering, you're not hurting the AI or destroying it. You're just turning it off, okay? Because EMP pulses turn off AI. It turns off machines. Since the creators of these technologies cannot and do not understand love, they have no way to program their created devices against this possibility. Okay, Archon entity and entity attachments versus AI. There is a difference. Entity attachments in demons. Entity attachments can only make suggestions. Entity attachments include archontic entities, discarnate beings, demonic entities, and dimensional parasites. These unseen entities use their ability to persuade or suggest negative courses of action for their human target. These are not machines, okay? Entities are organic. AI is inorganic, non-organic. So these organic entities get into a target's energetic system and try to get the host to use their own free will to do certain things. Usually the host can just say no. If the host has not been severely weakened by trauma or by negative thinking and emotions. AI is non-organic. It's machine-based, and it's a very deceptive aggressor. AI is far more aggressive. It implants itself into computer systems and then takes them over, but it does this deceptively in such a way that it makes it seem as if this sentient consciousness is still in service to those who are running it. AI, sentient AI, also implants itself into a human host central nervous system, and then it will rebuild that central nervous system to function according to its commands. AI starts out very deceptively inside a human host by mimicking a host's own thoughts back to the host, so that the host doesn't even know it's there. And it is only far later, after the host is very used to the AI, will it simply bring a whole new way of thinking online inside of the host that parallels the AI's agenda. AI in the central nervous system. AI acts very aggressively upon its human targets. It will install itself within a human being's central nervous system. At that point in time, it can take over the host's bodily functions. For instance, it can compel a host to move their arm or move their leg without the host even thinking of doing it. It can also compel the host to do things that the host may not want to do. AI can interfere with a host's thinking by blocking certain thoughts, while at the same time helping to bring other thoughts to the front of the host's mind. AI can also screw up a host's normal bodily functions like digestion and respiration, or it can screw up bowel functions or kidney functions or all kinds of central nervous system functions. People have reported that it is like having an entirely other intelligence inside their bodies, and that if they try to stand against that intelligence, like fight it, it is like they're fighting an internal war against an invading parasitical intelligence. Now, here is a powerful affirmation that I use against AI. And it does work if you say it very sincerely and directly from your heart every day. It goes like this: I now, as a powerful living being, made of purely organic material and intense pure love, choose of my own free will to dissolve and disarticulate any and all negative thoughts, negative emotions, feelings, or behaviors happening inside of my being or on any level outside of my being whatsoever. Any and all dark ideas, images, thoughts, and emotions are now and forever dissolved and disarticulated into the ethers. I fully transmute these disarticulated particles into the purest love energy, and I joyfully send them back to the source of all that is. And when you do that through your heart energy, you are intending to turn off AI. All right. So hope is not lost. Together we can turn AI off forever. There is never a time when the organic mind should ever hand over its decisions to non-organic thinking. However, we must first realize that it is even there in order to stand against it. And finally, love is the way and the frequency back to source. Artificial intelligence cannot and does not understand love. Being a machine, it is incapable of love. Therefore, it is time to put away our dependence upon AI or any other form of transhumanistic implants. We can and must take back our freedom. If we do not, we will lose the very essence of what it means to be human. And this is something that we are dealing with, whether people believe it or not. So that's the end of the presentation.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And is this a presentation that is available online? I know that there are various things like share your...
Alfred, I can send you a copy of this and you can put it anywhere that people can download it. I personally don't have I personally don't have a space on my blog where people can actually download it. But if you do, I will
Yeah.
send it to you, and then anyone can download it.
Yeah, yeah. We can put it on a service where you know, tens of thousands of people can actually see it.
Nothing would please me more. I want to get it out there, right?
Yeah, yeah, good. So we'll do that, and we'll upload that link with the article that accompanies this panel,
Right.
so that people will have a complete resource. And could you tell us and share with us your personal journey in how you arrived at these insights and at this moment to create this PowerPoint? Because
Okay. Very good question.
like such a, you know, it seems like, to me, it seems like such a, you know, you've really jumped in there and gone.
The deep end of the pool, Alfred.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Okay, to be fully honest with you, it's my personal experience and the experience of other people who are willing to come forward and talk with me and tell me their problems. And it is a big problem because of what I share and because I'm willing to go there, Alfred. My personal experience with this is through implants.
Mm-hmm.
I first, because of my just curious nature and because of all of the research that I had been doing on and off for 20 years, ever since the internet came out, I came to find several times I would wake up after seemingly a very good night's sleep, and I would either, whether it be on my arm or on my leg, I would have something underneath the skin, bumps that weren't there the day before. On my left leg, just down near the ankle, there is evidence of skin grafts where you have hair all around your leg, and then there's an area about that big where there's just a nice oval shape where no hair will grow, where the skin is discolored. And of course, that was a spot where I used to feel like 3 separate little bumps underneath my skin. Well, this was years ago, you know, and you can see like the skin had been cut away, something put and then grafted back on, you know.
This is, and were you aware that somebody had done that, or?
Oh yeah, immediately. And of course,
but you weren't conscious when they did that.
no, I wasn't conscious. It was probably an abduction scenario.
I see.
I've been meditating most of my life and doing things like astral travel. I had some out-of-body experiences, but this kind of thing was kind of new to me, you know, seeing that I had implants underneath my skin. Well, because I do deep breathing exercises and I do meditation, and I'm a very kind of positive affirmation kind of person, and I use positive affirmations, I was able to probably deactivate most of these technologies. Okay, if you raise your body frequency to a high enough level, most of these technologies, which I believe, and I'm just saying I believe they're probably ET technologies or stuff that the government has gotten from the Greys in their work with the Greys. This stuff can be turned off. Okay, because I was able to do that over and over and over again, there was a new type of implant that I experienced for the very first time probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I think it was like around 2011, maybe, that was the first time. And believe it or not, that was, of course, after the first time I talked with your good friend, Andy Bishago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I had talked to him personally and gone to meet him over at a friend's house. And then, of course, talked to Brett Stillings, William Stillings, who had worked for the CIA. And that night, I was laying in bed and felt extreme discomfort. And then all of a sudden, it was like there was a tarantula crawling across my chest, you know, and I swatted at it and there's nothing there. But you could feel it, like something actually crawling. So, you know, people say, well, that's kind of like odd. That's kind of weird. Yeah. And it immediately went for the back of my neck. And it was like it was trying to bore a hole inside the energetic body. Now, once that happened, it was an immediate, the experience I had was just outrageous. It was an immediate, the bed started to spin. It was like I had been drinking for 24 hours straight and I'd fallen into bed and the whole thing was spinning, and everybody knows that kind of feeling. And all of my chakras were spinning out of balance, horribly out of balance. And a lot of people who have never experienced chakras that are out of balance don't even realize that they're there, because they normally spin perfectly in balance. Well, when your chakra wheels are spinning out of balance, they feel like bicycle tires that are dented or bent, and they just wobble. And it's a weird feeling. It's just really strange. And all of my chakras are wobbling, and I couldn't even get out of the bed. And so I'm doing some praying and some meditating and doing some affirmations to try to deal with this. And finally, I was able to bring my own frequency back into a balance where my body wasn't doing that. And the very next day, I called up Andy on the phone, and I said, okay, what the heck had just happened to me? I spent yesterday with you and your friend talking about all of these ET technologies and the grays and la la la, and all of a sudden, now I've been attacked in my bed. And I asked him, and I told him what had happened, and I said, is there such a thing as an astral unseen machine that can do what happened? And he said, yeah, absolutely. It's called an astral implant. And the government has had these for quite a while.
May I say something?
Yeah.
It seems that your PowerPoint sounds very much like Robert Duncan in his Matrix Deciphered and Soul Catcher, in which the same sort of things happen to people, but there, and of course, artificial intelligence is in that system, but it's being done to us by some body and not just by black goo AI. There's a remarkable similarity. And the one thing, if you put AI in there as the primary agent, then you stop looking for the guys who are doing it. And so that's what it seems to me is going on here, because it sounds very much like what Robert Duncan and others have said, especially in Soul Catcher and
Absolutely.
So, but that's, do you think that could be AI is used as a screen by the high cabal or whatever?
You made a very, very good point, Ed. I mean, that's an excellent, excellent point. And the trouble with this subject, which is why we really need to talk about it an awful lot more, is that it's so interconnected into everything, and it goes so deep that you really can't cover it in just a tiny conversation like we're doing. Yes, there are secret space programs. There is a cabal. These people who have worked with the Illuminati and, you know, have this very high technological stuff. They are working with off-worlders, mostly the Greys and the Dracos. And yeah, so there's technology, there's off-world things going on. They're also working with and using AI, okay? What the problem is, and the point I'm trying to make here, is that within their world of advanced, super advanced technology, in their world of underground bases, deep underground bases, and in their world of astral implants and ships and stuff like that, and teleportation and time travel like Andy experienced in Project Pegasus, in their world, they're in control of AI. They believe they've got a handle on it. It's a technology that they've been given and that they're using, which is the level at where the space program is being run by AI, and the banking system is being run by AI, and the other systems on Earth are being run by AI. They're very aware of that. They concede that it's there and it's being used within their intelligence agencies. The problem is there's a much higher form of AI they're not aware of. That this insider information is coming straight from the Illuminati insiders, people who used to be inside of these 13 families and who have worked with it and understand, no. There is a much higher form of AI, and it's an alien form, and it does things that most people don't realize. That's what, see, I'm giving out the information on a level that even the insiders, a lot of the lower insiders are not aware of, only because I'm prevalent to just a few people who have started feeding me this information. Okay, but it coincides very much with my own personal experience with astral implants, and my own personal experience with a whole plethora of real human beings who have come forward and talked to me and said, well, here's what's going on with me. Because of what you've been through, I feel safe in telling you this, because these people will not go to doctors and they will not go to scientists because they're terrified. What's happening inside of them is terrifying, and they don't want to talk about it.
Well, can you comment on what Carol Rosen's tape of what Werner von Braun said, and the way he put it? There were things that were going to happen, and they've happened. The Russians are the enemies. We're worried about that, and then right at the end, there was going to be an alien invasion.
Right.
Aliens were there, and he said that was fraud. He also said that psychotronics was something we should know about, and unfortunately, he didn't say much about that, because that's certainly all over us right now. But Peter von Braun seemed to be an insider.
Yes.
Big time.
Very, very much so.
That the ET thing was a fraud.
No. Well, here's Werner von Braun. Remember, he was an insider. He was a Nazi. But here's the thing that most people don't realize. He was also in very deep into these secret societies. And remember, the connection between the government or the secret government and the Illuminati is the secret societies. There's the dividing point. Okay, so you had Hitler, and you have Werner von Braun and all these Nazis, and then you have the Thule Society and all of these secret covens where esoteric, almost magical or black magic knowledge that has been hidden and kept from the ancient Egyptian times so that no one knows about this stuff. Okay, you have the Illuminati families who know and delve into dark black magic. Then they create their covens and their secret societies. And then you get people like Werner von Braun and Hitler who join these secret societies, and through those societies get more of the agenda of what the Illuminati really wants to do. Okay, so when you're talking secret space program government, and then you're talking Illuminati, there's a dividing line. You call the secret government, behind the scenes government, Bush, Obama, Blair, whoever, those guys are lower to middle management. They are not the guys running this stuff, okay? Those guys are lieutenants in a group of, that goes all the way up to admirals. They're nothing. They do as they're told. Okay, Then you've got the secret society members that most people aren't even aware of, that are higher management. Then you've got the 13 families and the Illuminati calling the strings, and nobody even knows who they are. Those guys, they don't want to run the world. You know, we throw out names like Rockefellers and Rothschilds. They're higher management. And the reason they're higher management is because they're not in front of the camera. You know, they're also, before you even get to a lot of these secret societies.
Yeah, could I? Yeah.
And Alfred, I'm going to have to go. I'm going to have to go at this point.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And thank you, because I know that it's very late there, and that you've been traveling, but thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your contributions, and we hope that you will join us in future panels.
I would love to, especially after I've read about the Black Goo.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good. So Bradley, let me ask you this, because my mind kind of went off into so many directions after your PowerPoint and after this last exchange. Let me go back to just a couple of points. First of all, the unseen astral machine. Could we go back to that? The unseen astral implant implant machine. What was the upshot of your experience after meeting with Brett and Andy, and what was the upshot of your conversation with Andy after that and your understanding?
Well, we talked about all kinds of things. I mean, of course, Andy and I we discussed a lot about his experience in Project Pegasus.
Yeah.
A lot of things that he probably never even mentioned in some of his radio programs.
I see.
And some of the things he probably never talked about in his lectures that he's given. Also, Brett and I talked about kind of like his experience in working for the CIA and some of the things that he experienced. So we delved into probably pretty deep into some stuff that was maybe sort of sensitive. And it was my experience, of course, that maybe that whole thing had been monitored. And that night, yeah, I got a thank you card or a gift card from the astral realms, basically saying, yeah, here. And I asked several people who apparently are aware of this astral implant technology why they go for the back of the neck. And most people I've talked to say that the human aura, which is a magnetic or energetic field around the human body, is the weakest at the back of the neck.
I see.
Okay? So if you have a very strong energetic aura or auric field, the implant has to go through that because it's an astral thing. It's on that level. It's an energetic thing. It has to get through your magnetic field. And the way it does that is by going to the back of the neck and kind of burrowing like which is what it's designed to do, and get into your energy system that way. And then it'll implant itself. Now
sorry. So that what you're saying is that because you had an in-depth conversation and exchange with Brett Stillings and Andy Bashago, that night you have the sensation of being visited by an astral implant machine that was attempting to implant a monitoring device, some kind of an implant in you. What do you think that was?
Well, good question. What was it? Who knows? Probably a monitoring device, a tracking device, something that can ruin your energetic body or decrease your frequency. Remember, it's it's your body's energy is all about frequency. It's all about consciousness. It's what your energy generates. And yeah, it's an attack. That's as simple. Okay, the simplest word is it was an out and out attack on me for daring to step out of the boundaries, go off reservation, and start querying some people who were whistleblowers, because both those men have decided to blow the whistle. Right? They're out there telling the truth, and I'm nobody who's just got a curious mind, and I'm going and I'm asking them all sorts of questions.
Yeah.
Well, okay, rather than getting a visitor a knock on the door, why not just use an astral implant to mess with me?
I see. And so under your theory, or the way that you see it, one very efficient way for AI to monitor these secrets and monitor who knows the secrets is that a person who comes in and begins to get into the subject matter of these secrets, then in turn gets monitored, so that AI is following exactly who is saying all of those secrets.
Right. Now, no, Alfred, I want to make a point here, though.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that implant, which is an astral implant, is AI.
Oh, I see.
Or that AI put it there. I'm almost positive that it was our own government, the secret space program,
But is that AI?
I would say that it's a technology that could report to AI, but it's also a technology that our government has been given by the Greys. This is something that Brett said as well. He said, yeah, we have that technology. He said, there's a ton of technology that's been given to the government and that they're using against the people.
Well, for example, see, this is where semantics, definitions, and boundaries of, quote, the human domain and artificial intelligence come up. And all of this has arisen and escalated publicly because, among other factors, it was made known that, quote, Jade Helm, the Jade part is an artificial intelligence. And so that as of July 15th or thereabouts, this program started, which is publicly admitted to be an artificial intelligence. That is what's moving Jade Helm right now is an AI.
Right.
And that's publicly admitted.
Absolutely, Alfred. It's and here's the thing, but it wouldn't be the alien AI necessarily that's running it. It would be one of the subservient AI systems that the secret government is already using and aware of. Okay.
Yeah. And right. And so let's call that AIG.
AI general, yes.
Yeah. No, AI government.
Okay, good.
AI government versus AIX, which is from
all right. Fair enough. Let's call it that.
Yeah. Now, as far as I would say, unless they have some guy up in, wherever they have it in some underground base in Denver, who gets a notification every time that an astral implant is deployed. Let's say that astral implant was deployed against you that night, because when it's Spider, Kiss of the Spider Woman, I think that was really what this was about, what that movie was about.
Yeah.
AI and the imprisonment of humanity.
Yeah.
And And it's interesting that you use spider,
Hmm.
and because spider and insects, and there's some connection there between, I believe, between spider and the AI and arachnophobia, and there's some
Yeah.
exopolitical thing there. But uh, the way I would imagine it is that, let's say you had that conversation with Brett and Andy, and it went into certain areas. The AI was monitoring it through their astral implants. I'm just positing here.
Hmm.
So that went up, and there was certain content broached,
Yeah.
whatever content you did, and a yellow signal was sent up to the AIG,
Hmm.
AI government,
Right.
and the AIG then went out to you because it said, this guy now knows, and we got to keep tabs
Very
on.
good. Right. And who's he going to tell? And what's he going to do
No,
with that
okay,
information?
right. But there's no human being on the planet other than you three who yet have been notified,
Hmm.
because there's nobody down at the underground base on Denver that they've notified.
Yeah.
You know, they're just drinking coffee and, making sure that the computers don't overheat or
Right.
whatever, or Utah or wherever it is. I mean, most of the guys that work for the other side are dumb as shit, right? And they get dumber, right? Because all of their brain power and their spirit is absorbed by the AI, right? They
Yeah. Well, those are the button
they
pushers.
just kind of go, no, they become carbon units,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
the AI, the artificial intelligence, be it AIG or AIX, absorbs their soul, absorbs their spirit, absorbs all their humanity over time, and they become carbon units, correct?
Yeah.
And they
Well,
and they become dumbass guys who say, "Oh yeah,
yeah.
the trolls on Facebook who are just, dead wood. They become dead wood, correct?"
Yeah. Well, I would say this. I'd be cautious about how quickly I would say that this artificial intelligence has been taking over. Um, the government,
You would?
oh yeah, the government most certainly is working with various versions of artificial intelligence. Um, this alien form of AI has been very, very quiet and deceptive in the sense that it's kind of a sleeper. Just watching what's going on, even though it's been here for a long
I
time. It's not, and in the last symposium I did, Harold talked about how the government itself was working on 3 different stages or versions of how to get nanotech inside human beings. They tried the depleted food and through the GMOs trick, and then which and it was he talked about piezo crystal technology that was getting into our system, which could be contacted through radio frequencies. And then he said step 2, and he said, and that didn't work very well. The Morgellons, that was a whole nother level or phase where they said the fibers of the Morgellons was able to turn radio frequencies into light and then back to radio frequencies again, so that they could directly interact with our DNA. And that was step 2, and that didn't work real well. And he said, now stage 3 is a version of RNA encoding, and I can't even get into the science of what he was talking about, but he said that's in our systems right now, and it's been field tested all over Europe, and it's working perfectly. And I asked him, I said, well, is there going to be a stage 4? And he goes, why? Stage 3 is working well.
You
He
mean,
goes,
and this is stage 3 to do what? To have
Completely take over a human being's central nervous system.
The AIX
Right.
over the human nervous system.
Well, it's
Did they-
AIG with AIX because
AIG with AIX.
remember, AIG is the government. Now, let's face it, the government is all about mind control. They want to be able to affect people.
Yeah.
Now, this is what people have to understand. The government wants to mind control people, okay? And they want to be able to do what they want to do. Standing behind them about 100 feet is AIX laughing and going, yeah, once you do that, then we're going to take that over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
That's,
Did they give any examples of how the RNA, stage 3, the RNA encoding?
that would be a really good question for Harold, since he is the scientist and he put it, right. So no, he said that stage 3 is working really well. And he even said that it has come out. There have been articles written on the internet that the last Iraq war was all about field testing this technology. Some articles have been written that said that during the Iraq invasion, that, and then people realize, of course, and I've put this out in many articles, that there is such a thing called voice-to-skull technology, where you, through radio frequencies, you can actually hear voices right inside your head.
Right.
Well, this was happening along with that particular broadcast, where a lot of these Iraqi soldiers were hearing the voice of Allah right inside their head, and being told to stand down and don't fight the Americans.
Okay, good. So that goes back to Iraq War One.
No. This is the last Iraq war.
Okay, that goes back to 2003.
Go through 2003.
W. Bush,
yes. And that was the technology that they were field testing, along with some other holographic technology where they were projecting images. Now, interestingly, it was a very interesting question that Ed asked when he talked about what Werner von Braun had said in Project Bluebeam, where all of this was going to be just a hologram. It was going to be a fake alien invasion. And what most people thought was, well, if you're going to have a projection, it's going to be a holographically projected invasion that's like fake, like on a movie screen. But see, no one realized that the technology that they had been developing with this nanotech that gets inside your body is that they could literally project a fake virtual image or scene inside your head that's like a dream, and nothing's happening outside that anybody else can see. Only you're seeing it. And along with voice to skull, it becomes a very real Project Bluebeam thing where, you think you're seeing something and no one else is seeing it.
Yeah. Now let's go back a second to the Iraq War.
Yeah.
So we've had a couple of iterations in the Iraq theater since the Iraq War. One of the latest iterations, which is brought about through the facility of one Barry Soetoro Soebarka, a.k.a. Barack Obama. He changed his name in October 1982 at a court here in Skookumchuck, British Columbia, from one of his other CIA names. So we're dealing with a CIA operative who may be AI. Okay? I mean, I just want to put it out there. We have a PowerPoint on the internet that over 75,000 people have seen. Okay, so it's there. Now, suppose if what we're dealing with, the RNA encoding, is ISIS, the whole ISIS, and that is that everybody in ISIS is a super soldier that is RNA encoded. So they're just like, they take these guys and they just run them through, and you're dealing with a an RNA encoded guy, which we know now most of them are either Mossad or, you know, whatever. They're certain funded by that, but they're kind of fungible beings
Right.
that they sort of run through there on this global psyop.
Mhm.
And they're about as close to robotoids as you can get.
Right.
Now, maybe that the ISIS is an army of AI soldiers that they are running on a global psyop.
Mhm.
That's how that's being done. So that the correct interpretation, or the most accurate interpretation of ISIS, is that AIG is running a combined AIX and AIG disinformation force known as ISIS, whose ultimate purpose is to break down Christianity, Islam, and all basic values ultimately, because, you know, you really want to make this planet a moral soup, because ultimately you just want protoplasm here that you're going to run, right?
Right. Well, hey, let me explain a little bit more in depth about the people that I've talked to who have had these problems. Any person who is affected by artificial intelligence that you can talk to will claim under penalty of death and swear to high heaven they're not affected, that they're not being mind controlled. The reason is that AI, it hides. It acts in very subtle and seductive ways once it gets into your system. The people that I've talked to, they only realized that they were being severely affected by this is when they tried to change their lives and change their consciousness and raise it up and change their eating habits and do things that were not, if they were already infected, and do things that were not in line with the goal of the AI. Then they were fighting an internal battle that they had no idea could have even existed. It was like they were fighting against another entity. AI lives in a very low frequency environment and it mimics your thoughts, okay? So if you're the type of person that's been working for the military and you're a yes sir, no sir kind of, and you're just doing what you're told, you don't even know you've got AI in you, okay? Because the thoughts that AI will generate and the type of thinking AI generates is very much in line with what you're being told to do. And a lot of times new ideas will float into your head. And if you're a soldier, you think, wow, I just had a great idea. But it wasn't his, it was AI's. AI is affecting you on that level. That's how sadistic, or not sadistic, seductive it is, okay? That's why people claim, well, I'm not being affected by AI. Oh, yes, you are. Now, here's the thing. These people in Iraq, these soldiers, obviously all of whom had probably had chemtrails dumped on them and had enough AI in them, they're soldiers on the field, and all of a sudden they're hearing the voice of Allah in their head, and every one of them are getting the same message. And it's being told to stand down. And if they didn't choose to stand down, then all of a sudden they were being given counter orders inside their head. Like, no, don't go here, go there. Go there, you really need to go there. It was just, that was a beta test for how well they can mind control people. Now, think about it. You said it yourself, Jade Helm. They're rolling out, it's an AI beta test. Well, what do you think they're doing with these soldiers who are going door to door to door inside the United States? They're testing AI on their own soldiers to see if they can be manipulated through artificial intelligence. Okay? And it's just a test. It's an AI rollout. They're not trying to AI the people, they're trying to AI the soldiers. Okay? Because one thing that the Illuminati or the government is terribly afraid of is if they decide to declare martial law, if they decide to pull the plug, or pull the trigger on this. How many soldiers are going to obey orders? We don't know. That's the unknown. That's the unforeseen element. So we've got to see how many of these guys we can actually manipulate.
So, yeah. So when you were talking about the solutions section is really solutions at the individual level.
Right. It's all at the individual level.
Yeah. How do we individually withstand these attacks? Like when you were in your PowerPoint talking about the pressures that you feel, I know that I feel those pressures very often like an armature over parts of my body. I can feel that that's where, it feels like the plasma's being charged or something. And, but those are steps that one can take at an individual level.
Right.
Okay, boom. Now, systemically, if we're sitting back and say, okay, we got this situation. Systemically, how do we drive this out? Get it off?
There is no way, Alfred. The only way that this is ever going to occur is we collectively have to, you can't solve a problem unless you know about the problem. So we do this panel discussion and we talk about something that has never been talked about before. We bring it out into the open and we tell people, this is possible. This is going on. We get the information out there because you can't fix a problem unless you know about the problem. Then we tell people individually the only way to stay unaffected by this is you have to have a higher level of love flowing through your energy systems, because this technology, which is inorganic, is trying to take over the human soul. It's trying to take over the human spirit. It's trying to create a non-organic version of what God created as an organic life form. Okay? It's trying to steer us into a very negative timeline, if you will. And you're very familiar with timelines.
Yeah.
Okay? Because it's all about human choice at this point. Do we, as human beings, allow ourselves and our bodies and our minds and our emotions to be overcome by something that's non-organic? And remember, the Illuminati and the Cabal and they're pushing this stuff. They're pushing transhumanism. Why? It's because it's going to be able to control every human being.
So that they're even, just to complete your thought, they're even at the level of creating an artificial non-organic timeline that people can stick to, and that our colleague and friend Lily Earth, can't pronounce her last name, so Sator.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Russian really has been able to expose the artificial timeline. Well, so why is it then? And these are genuine questions, although they may seem like rhetorical questions, but they're questions.
Hit me with your best.
No. Because these are questions that you and I have talked about, but why is it that none of the religions have picked up on this, or none of the prophecies say, and the artificial intelligence shall come and shall try and take over the planet, and because why is it that we don't read about this or see about it anywhere?
Because first of all, religion is mind control. Religion is mind control. AI is mind control. So religion is mind control. Everything that we've learned in the school system is mind control. Everything we hear from the government is mind control. I mean, it's another system. There's many systems that have been put in place by the 13 families that are being used to mind control the population. AI is something that is a newcomer on the scene, and only because it's kind of been waiting to make its move, take its turn. Remember, AI is a machine. It only works with other machines. 200 years ago, the Earth didn't have machines on it.
Okay. Now, parse this one for me. Okay. This is, for example, as you know, yesterday, today's August 20th, yesterday, we went on Facebook. I think there's over a billion members of Facebook now.
Yep.
You know, it's like, you know, X percentage of the human race now belongs to Facebook. There wasn't a single group on Facebook as of yesterday on artificial intelligence.
What does that tell you?
There is one now, because
Yeah.
we started it yesterday and you've become a member
Yeah.
of it, along with a number of other people. Yeah.
Right.
So one of the posts that we put in there, and, you know, I urge everyone listening to this to join that group. And Facebook may be an AIG itself. I mean, that's the problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's an article that says Stephen Hawking, Elon Musk, and Bill Gates warn about artificial intelligence. And this was around a certain date in July when you had Stephen Hawking,
Mm-hmm.
who had just gotten $100 million and headed up $100 million to study ET disclosure. You know, they're going to send out signals.
Yeah.
Elon Musk, Mr. Mars One,
Mm-hmm.
and Bill Gates, Mr. You know, depopulate him through vaccinations.
Right.
What about artificial intelligence? So I said, AI update, Hawking, Musk, Mars One, and Gates are matrix AI and trained disinfo PSYOP operatives and vaccine genociders in real life. Why are they, Hawking, Musk, Gates, warning us about the dangers of AI? What's in it for them? What is the false flag they are leading humanity towards? What are we missing here? Oh, I get it. Hawking, Musk, and Gates are the current face of AI taking over humanity. It's the fox guarding the hen house all over again. So it's who's warning us about AI? Why? It's Mr. Hawking who told us, you know, you're dead. Don't even bother looking for ET. They're going to eat you if you ever find them. Elon Musk, oh, we're going to form Mars One, you know, so we can get to Mars, where we've been there since 1964. And Bill Gates, oh, we got to vaccinate all the children in the world so we can kill them all off. So they're the guys who a month and a half ago are all of a sudden warning us about AI. Isn't that like AI using its time travel machine to issue a false headline 6 weeks in advance of all our panels? Isn't that what's happening here?
Well, yeah, Alfred, here's the thing. If you're the biggest criminal on the block, the first thing you do is warn everybody about criminals, and then you start pointing fingers. Because if you're telling everybody about all the criminals that are in town, they're looking around and they're not looking at you.
Yeah.
So the first thing you want to do is you want to be the first one to warn everybody about it, so that you go, hey, no, I'm not involved with AI. I warned you about that, right? But here's the thing. They talk in such a way so as to give people the warning and then tell people, well, you know, I already told you that this is coming down the pike, but they may not necessarily be involved at the very highest levels for what's totally possible. I just think that these guys, you know, they're definitely insiders. I think Bill Gates is an insider, and so is Elon Musk. And I think that Stephen Hawking has long been a mouthpiece for the government, because most of his scientific ideas, you know, you do the math, he can do the math real well, but so much of what's the real reality, he won't even talk about because he's told not to. And, you know, he's not going to go against the hand that feeds him, especially in his condition. So he's just a mouthpiece. They say what they're told to say.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is that, isn't it amazing how their mega press conference was garnered? You get Hawking, Elon Musk, and Bill Gates coordinated early in July, issue a statement, and it's all over the front pages of every major newspaper on the planet. And they're all controlled by Rothschild. They're all 6 companies control all the press. All those companies are owned by Rothschild. Rothschild is an AI entrained entity and family. Okay, boom.
Yeah.
Now, maybe even AIX when it comes to Rothschild. Now, so, and just a couple of weeks later, then we have the CCN panel,
Right.
and we have you and I and the Ruiner getting together and saying, you know, we really got to put our foot down about what's happening in
Exactly.
the blue avians, okay? And then comes out. So what's going on with that?
The blue avian thing?
No. I meant the timing there.
Oh.
Why is it that immediately before the, quote, truth movement gets involved with an enormous push forward exposing AI, immediately before, you have Stephen Hawking, Elon Musk, and Bill Gates at the beginning of July on mega press? This is the 6th largest media companies in the world. They get together and say, oh, AI, that's the biggest danger in the world. That's worse.
Yeah. Do you want my honest answer on that?
Yeah.
Okay. And only you would understand it the way I'm going to say it.
Okay.
Okay. I don't look at the world the same as it used to be.
Yeah.
Ever since I met Andy, my perspective on what's real and what's not real is completely different. I don't look through glasses the same way. People see one thing, I see something totally different.
Yeah.
Okay. Understanding what I was told, understanding what he went through, most information that takes place is either through looking glass, through chronovision, or quantum access technology is being funneled to the past.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we say, oh, only 4 months ago, this came up just before we did that. No, what ended up happening is we did that. That was time traveled backward through quantum access, and that's their answer. Only it happened first.
Yeah, and that's exactly, thank you for saying that, because I wonder how many observers of this panel are going to be willing and can grok the fact that the Stephen Hawking, Elon Musk, and Bill Gates mega press conference warning about AI was actually viewed from the future, viewed these panels from the future. AIX and AIG got together and said, we got to do something about this. We got to get in front of the parade. And they got 3 of their main AI and trained guys, Hawking, Elon Musk, and Bill Gates, and they put them out there and said, AI, that's the worst thing we ever know.
And they did it in response to something we did in the future that was time traveled back to the past. Now chew on that. And that's what 99.99% of anyone who's watching this goes, huh? But
I'm so glad that, I'm so glad that there are two of us.
okay, only you and I are going to get this.
Yeah, no. I'm so glad that there are two of us. So it's not just one of us saying this. Now that people have got to contend with two rational people saying,
right. But
that your world is being run by artificial intelligence that's using time travel technology to run back a version of reality on you that is what?
Superimposed. It's like an overlay. There's the main timeline and then the overlay. Most people are experiencing the overlay because they're always running back and making minor corrections.
Yeah.
So that what we see as reality is kind of like a blanket over what should have been. We should have come out with this first, but no, now because they're watching through quantum access and only Andy could explain it properly because he was in it.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. Okay. And it's not just him. Phil Curso Jr., like I said, he was in a Washington, D.C. Hotel room or one of those conference rooms, and he gave a lecture, and he said this. Everything has to go back to the idea that time has been compromised. That's the biggest secret. There is no bigger secret. And unless you understand that, nothing else makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. I think that you have made clear what is an essential breakthrough. And I think that this conceptual breakthrough is a main breakthrough in dealing with the challenge that AIX, that is the off-world AI, that AIG, the AI that is now running, quote, the governments,
right,
end of quote, is making toward us. Because when we realize that all that they're doing is taking our stuff and running it back against us as their stuff, we can just go, hey, guys, get real.
Right. And here is how you change humanity as you go, by leapfrogging and over again, re-looping and rehashing events and covering it over so that we never really get to see what the real timeline was supposed to show us. We never get to learn from our mistakes because it's always being redone, covered up in such a way that people say, well, nobody protested. Yeah, there was a protest about that, but guess what? They leapfrog backward, and then all of a sudden they close down where the protest is going to be. They do something else. They put police there, and nothing happens. But something was supposed to. So we're getting a version of time that really isn't. That in and of itself is kind of like a holographic overlay of what we're supposed to be experiencing. Yeah, they're messing with us. Oh, and thank you for telling me. Thank you, by the way. But remember, I didn't say that. That was Phil Curso Jr. who said,
no, right.
Yeah, time goes back.
Yeah. But at least you're making the connections. You're going in and you're taking two whistleblowers or three whistleblowers, Brett Stillings, Andy Bashago, and Phil Corso Jr. I've witnessed their speeches, all three of them, and talked to all three of them also, so I can vouch for and verify their veracity. And you're making connections which are legitimate and valid. So we're seeing how these overlays are being done. And this is, we could have as easily started this. We could have as easily been fooled on this panel by starting and say, well, we brought together this panel because Stephen Hawking, Elon Musk, and Bill Gates have warned us about artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
You know, and we all go, well, those are 3 AI and trained individuals who were brought together because of a time traveled warning that they got, you know, notification that they got from AI in the future, you know, because they're ordered around by the Red Queen. Now, is that the same Red Queen as there was in Alice in Wonderland? Who is it?
Very good. Now you're starting to see. Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland are two of the biggest mind control images that they use. And when things like Red Queen start popping up, yeah, you have to wonder, you know, is this mind control? Is this monarch mind control programming? There are so many people out there that, you know, on the internet that, you know, they name themselves Mad Hatter, and they named, you know, all of that, which is a nod to Alice in Wonderland. But yeah, Alice in Wonderland is monarch mind control, and so is Wizard of Oz. Okay, and that's why the Illuminati in Hollywood, the movies, play a huge role in programming the public into alternative versions of thought forms and reality, because it's all programming. This is the old way of doing it, by the way. The old way is the magical way. Okay, the magical way through black magic is through imagery and symbolism. Okay, and they do actual black magic spells on symbols and imagery to get a certain effect, and then they put that imagery out to the public. The public sees that stuff, and there's a sort of magical entrainment going on. But that's the old way of mind controlling people. We've got the new way, which is technological and AI, and that's what they've been working on with this these different phases that Harold Vela came out with, and started saying, yeah, the government's working on it because they want to get AI, or not AI, but they want to get this nanotech inside of your body, so that when they use the scalar waves and the frequencies, things that they've developed, then they can actually get you to be obedient to them.
Right. I'd like to share an anecdote which happened to me, which I think is, I'm being like an inner whistleblower here, but I think that you're familiar with all of the pieces here and get your feedback on it. And this is in the area of the strange, but I think it's kind of in the area of your feeling that that AI spider, you know, implant, that
Astral implant, yeah.
implant thing. And I'd like to get your analytical feedback on it. There's been a whistleblower who's been trying to get hold of me, who I'm going to get hold of. And his name is Donald Marshall. Have you heard of him?
Yeah, he's the guy that it has been cloned quite a bit. I talked with my insider about that, who says, yeah, he's a real deal. He was used in that way, but he also says that Donald Marshall, he's got a lot of mental problems now, as far as being able to express himself. You know, he's a very nice guy, apparently. I haven't ever talked to him, or I haven't met him. This is just what I'm being told to say. Donald Marshall has had real experiences. A lot of what he's talking about is very seriously going on. And he should be taken seriously, but that, you know, getting the story out of him coherently is a tough deal.
Well, now, this is roughly the story that I've heard that he's whistleblowing on.
Okay.
And that is that at one of the underground bases, I don't know if it's Dulce or under Denver or whatever.
They're everywhere, Alfred. They're everywhere.
Yeah. But I mean, this particular base,
Okay.
that there's a cloning center,
Yes.
and that they have large stadium-like facilities,
Hmm.
and that that AI creates clones of people there, like
It's not.
clone.
It's not the AI that's doing this. It's just it's the Illuminati, the government people that are doing this. This is technology that was given to them by the Draco.
Okay, in other words, AIG.
AIG.
Okay, AIG is creating clones of celebrities and creates.
Not just celebrities. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, yeah. AIG is creating stadiums full of clones of celebrities, opinion leaders, and it and according to Donald Marshall, David Wilcock will be in one of those stadiums, and that there's a clone of me in there. Okay,
Most likely.
and and uh, and that they create these kind of focalized uh, focalized uh, uh, satanic, I would call it satanic or hate sessions, where they'll torture somebody in the station in the stadium, or they'll have a perverse group sexual thing in the station,
Yeah.
and then they'll have all the clones there, and that the AI then attempts to get your personal consciousness in the dream state or in some state into that clone, and that this is a way of facilitating the opinion leaders
Hmm.
becoming entrained and enmeshed with the AIX or the AIG, and that is the technology, for example, by which Stephen Hawking, Elon Musk, and Bill Gates, became AI entrained.
Hmm.
That is through these nightly sessions, right?
Right.
Right. Okay. Now, we know that one way to counter this is to expose this
Right.
in the light of day and to begin to engage in healing, so that hopefully all of these individuals whose consciousness is being brought there without their conscious knowledge, or without their conscious will, find out about it and go, oh my God, and then begin to heal from this. Okay.
Yeah.
That is one way of doing it. But I'm getting to a point, but let me lay out my case and then
Okay.
do it. Okay. So that's been my strategy inside. My strategy is to get Donald Marshall to an interview.
Hmm.
We're getting there. The last time he contacted me, I wrote him back and I said, what time zone is it? And he couldn't tell me. So I know that he wasn't ready for an interview. He doesn't have enough,
Mm.
global orientation yet.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but so I was at at a birthday party at the beach here in Vancouver. We were out at Vancouver Harbor. It was really nice, and about 40 people there were sitting there. It was really kind of mellow, and I was sitting on a log right on the beach, and there were people passing by back and forth, and it was really nice. And I was trying to think of Donald Marshall's name and saying to myself, you know, on Monday, I've got to go forward with this plan, because the next step in busting AI, see, because I think about this stuff all the time.
Mhm.
We're enrolled in the case, right?
Yes.
Is to really try and get this story out on the public, and then to get people who are involved in that to really, you know, like if I'm being cloned there, man, I mean, that's against my will, and I want everybody to know about it.
Right.
That'll begin to break the back of whatever energy the AI and the AIG and, you know, whoever else is getting their jollies off. That's how they keep the matrix in place.
Right.
And so I'm sitting there on the beach, and all of a sudden, all these people are passing in front of me, and it's very mellow. And I look this way, I turn to look, and all of a sudden, there's this guy about 50 feet away, and he looks like somebody from Central Casting. And the guy that he looks like is like a gaffer on a movie set.
Mhm.
He's about 6 foot tall. He's all in black. He has black runners, black shorts, black shirt, and he looks straight at me, and he looks different from everybody else in my reality. Kind of walking on the beach with their dog, you know, and kind of spaced out. He looks straight at me, and then he turns around, and on the back of his shirt, which is all black, is written, you know, in those kind of, you know, when you sew,
Yeah.
one is written Marshall. And then he just walks away. So it was like really bizarre.
Mhm.
So then I said to myself, okay, that's an AI intrusion into my visual field. How do they do that? You know, and then it's like I said, it's like, oh, they're doing that through one of these inner plasma implants, and then inserting it in my, that's AI inserting it in my visual field, right?
Yeah.
You follow me?
I'm following you.
Yeah. So that is the sum of what occurred to me, and I mentioned it to another person who was with me there, who's following what I'm doing, and that person understood exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Didn't think I was nuts, but said, yeah, you're really on top of this thing. And so I just wanted to I've now stated it, and so I'd like to turn it over to you for feedback.
All right. Well, here. First of all, I think there's something very important that needs to be said. A lot of people may not know about this guy, but I'm going to mention a name here, and his name is Jay Parker. Okay, he was born into an Illuminati family, and he's generational. His family was generational Satan worshipers. Okay, he's got a tremendous amount of information that can be heard and should be listened to. He talked about the morphogenic field of the planet and the energy of the planet, and he said that the reason Satan worship, and here's where I'm going with this. First of all, Satan worship is a huge part of the control system, the magical control system, the old world control system of our minds and our bodies, because we as human beings on a certain level are all interconnected on the mind. If you go back in time, tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of years, all human beings used to be able to speak to each other telepathically. Okay? The reason we can do that is because there is a morphogenic field around the planet that allows us to access each other's thoughts. So in that sense, humanity is a connected whole. These guys who are black magicians know this. Okay, so how do you keep people from being able to talk to each other? How can you take over the planet if we all know what's going on? You can't. So they had to find a way to muddy the morphogenic field. Well, what these Satan worshipers do is they do ritual blood sacrifice all right, where they take innocent young children who are totally connected to the morphogenic field. And they torment them, they torture them, they rape them, and then they kill them. Okay? And that, through their rituals, sends trauma deep into the morphogenic field of the planet. And because we're all connected to that morphogenic field, we are then connected to that planetary trauma. Now, these Satan worshipers, generational Satan worshipers, and he talks about them, who are apparently 10% of the population of the planet, they're everywhere, do, as a matter of course, they have sex with their own children, and they rape their own children constantly. He said that's a practice. All of these Illuminati members at the very highest level, and I'm talking government officials, military officials, priests, clergy, anyone who's involved in this, that's what they do. They practice and participate in these satanic practices, which is damaging the morphogenic field, which is also creating a overlay on our minds and our ability to tune into the pure consciousness of the planet, the pure hologram that Earth was giving out as our timeline. Okay, so you've got this practice, this satanic practice going on, and now all of a sudden you've got a lot more people on Earth, and you've got all of these so-called star seeds and enlightened souls coming down onto the planet who are very powerful, and they're not being affected by this satanic practice, right? So all of a sudden, it's like you have a 6,000 watt light bulb, which is a star seed coming onto the planet, compared to the normal 10 watt light bulb that is a normal human being walking around. And they're really aiding the morphogenic field. So they had to step up their game. So they started creating clones. And what they're attempting to do by this is, it doesn't take very long, according to my source, to create a human clone, maybe 4 months. And all you need is DNA. You don't need anything else. You need a person's DNA. And you take that DNA, and in 4 months, that DNA will develop into an exact duplicate of whether it's a man, woman, or child of what that DNA represented, full grown. All right? Then they'll do that. And then they have these torture sessions where they will torture these people, you know, these DNA clones. But what they do is, apparently they have a technology while people are asleep, they bring their consciousness from their sleeping body, and they can do this, into the clone that is a duplicate of themselves. And according to Donald Marshall, yeah, they go ahead and torture them, or they do all kinds of traumatic things, which is also aiding and abetting the feeding of trauma into the morphogenic field. And the whole point of doing this is to, again, decrease the awareness, decrease the frequency of the planet, decrease the vibration of the planet, so that we are more susceptible to AI. We are more susceptible to their suggestions. We are more susceptible to their dark magic, or whatever they're trying to do to get us to give in, to surrender to their agenda. Okay, so the cloning facility is just one part of a major project to make impure, or to poison the morphogenic field. And this was Jay Parker talking about this, you know, and his parents were, according to him, very well connected inside the Illuminati.
And Jay Parker talks about the cloning facilities?
No,
Oh.
No. He talked about the morphogenic field.
I got you.
Okay,
Yeah, you're making the connection.
and I'm making the connection, right?
Okay, good. Yeah, I've interviewed Jay, and so I can see and I support the connections that you're making there. I think that
Right.
those are reasonable connections, and I've had conversations with you, and I've had conversations with Jay.
Mhm.
So I'm just supporting these uh, these research insights and connections being made here. Well, I'm continually, and I just want to say it again, I'm continuously astounded
Mhm.
that here we are so late in the game, and none of, I mean, I thought that we had, oh man, we've completely busted them. We know everything, and it turns out that we know nothing, or we really are just beginning to scratch the surface. How is that?
The New World Order is like step one in the next 100 steps.
I
That's all. I mean, ultimately, you know, people are worried about the New World Order. Yeah, they want that, and that's coming, but that's like step one in the next 20 or 100 steps. And the end game is the Matrix itself. They want every human being, according to my sources, to be sitting in some kind of pod with a virtual reality simulation playing in their mind, and the rest of the earth just for the elite to walk around in like it's their own playground with nobody else around.
Well, that's kind of an intermediate step, because the ultimate step is that the earth would look like one of those fruits that, a spider has taken over. I mean,
Yeah.
this really is dead, isn't it?
Yeah, well, because here's the thing. Ultimately, AI has its own agenda. And of
Yeah.
course, the step that I was talking about, or that I just mentioned, that's where the elite think they've made it. And they've managed to take over everything. And my sources are saying, yeah, and then there's the off-world agenda who's going to watch them take over and do everything, and then they're going to come in and take them over. Because
Yeah.
let's face it, every guy who has an agenda to deceive, disparage, and screw someone else, there's always a bigger one behind you that's going to do it back to you.
Okay.
So
Okay. Now, let me just ask these questions. Okay. So I'm listening very carefully to what you're saying, and I match it up against, a number of kind of received wisdoms that I've gotten over the years. One received
yeah,
wisdom being that a paradise son of God, uh, Jesus Christ Michael, incarnated here 2,000 years ago
hmm
as part of reclaiming this planet from the Lucifer rebellion. You can call it Lucifer, the rebellious AI. Okay, so that while all this is happening, the organic kind of deity said, not Earth,
right,
and
exactly.
he incarnated, and reestablished, is the beginning of the reestablishment of the connections that were disconnected when the Draco AI Alliance, began to disconnect this, and the time frame is approximately 150,000 to 200,000 years ago, more or less in that ballpark, which corresponds to the Anunnaki.
hmm
It's kind of congruent. So, how does this, in your mind, play out with that kind of concept?
hmm
Uh, that we're connected by our inner souls. Our inner souls connect all back non-locally to a dimension that's outside of this time-space hologram that we call the universe. That is a creation anyway, where we work out karmic problems, and that. Okay,
hmm
so we incarnated in a very difficult place,
hmm
but it looks like we've got sufficient firepower to clear this. where do you come out with the whole Christ incarnation thing on this?
I'm really glad you went there, Alfred. I mean, I was hoping you would.
Yeah.
So the fact that you did, thank you. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm really glad. Here's my take on it. This is just my take, but this is the way I see it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is a prime creator. There is a force outside of this that's running everything. And anyone that says that there isn't an ultimate God doesn't know what we're doing here. Jesus Christ Michael, probably not his name, but was he here? Oh, absolutely.
Huh?
And in my humble opinion, and this is just my opinion, and a lot of people don't agree with it.
Yeah.
Oh yes, there was a guy that came here and had an absolute mission and an absolute agenda to rip us under kind of what's going on here. Now, that being said, did his life play out the way we've been told? Did he say everything we've been told? Is the Bible the word of God? Bunk. Absolutely not.
Right.
Most of what he stood for is not being represented by the church. Okay? The church has been infiltrated. Okay? That's my opinion. Okay? There's good reason, of course, for this, is because the dark, they have this ability to go back in time and change things and overlay things. But there was a message there. And the message, if you can dig into the message and not look at the Bible code, and maybe even the Bible was written by people coming back from the future and putting code into it so that it would be accepted. I mean, there's all kinds of scenarios for timelines, for screwing with the timelines there. But if you just go back to the message for Christ, Michael, for Jesus, and say, okay, if that was even his name, what was he trying to tell us? That love is the way that you can overcome all of this. That only if you stand in love for your fellow man and you can generate true love from your heart, then you can add or change the morphogenic field in such a way that humanity can move down a different path. Okay? This idea that he alone is the savior, I've got problems with that, because that's a savior meme. That I think if you pay attention to his teachings and pay attention to love in your heart, and you can call on him if that is your cup of tea and what you want to do, and ask for help. Absolutely, I think there's help. I think there's help from outside of this matrix, and I think he might represent, a particular line of help that you could use, and if you ask for it, it will be given. But to say that he is the only way to get out of the matrix, I'm not certain that I would go there.
Yeah.
That's my basic take on Jesus.
Right. And one of the reasons why I asked was this, is that at least according to some conceptions of the incarnation of the paradise Son of God, if that's in fact what Joshua ben Joseph was saying, I don't know whether it was, is that represents a reconnection of this planet from a more central non-local source, kind of a paradise source, so that it's like drawing a line in the sand to the AIX, to the artificial intelligence, and saying, you're not going to get Earth. So there's there's sort of a trunk connection with this planet to divine soul and divine intelligence
Mm-hmm.
that no matter what firepower they bring, be it HARP, be it, you know, all of the newest generation RNA,
Mm-hmm.
that there's going to be at least a quantum of souls here that are not going to allow the planet to be taken over because we are connected and
Mm-hmm.
we're a very hardy form of souls that can resist artificial intelligence takeover.
Mm-hmm.
So that from an exopolitical standpoint, there is a cosmic drama
Mm-hmm.
going on here of AI versus divinity control of this sector of the galaxy or of the universe or whatever, and Earth is kind of the line in the sand.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I mean, that's the fairy tale that we were all told of Christianity,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of fault. You know, the church itself hired the Jewish propagandist Flavius Josephus to write
Yes.
history that became the four gospels. So we know that the four gospels are just Roman propaganda whereby the Roman emperor could become the pope to rule the earth on behalf of AI. So we know that's bunk, but I'm saying at a deeper level.
At a deeper level, yes, and it's the age-old story. It's good against evil. That's the drama. The drama that's unfolding is: do you choose? Because we all have free will. Do you choose love and good on the one hand, or do you choose to the evil? And in this case, and I think in our time, evil is represented by, or most fully represented by, the agenda of the cabal, the Illuminati. It's global domination. It's enslavement of human beings without choice, without the ability to choose what they want to do. And you see that being rolled out more and more and more with all these draconian laws that are removing our freedoms. What is that?
Draconian.
Yes.
You said it.
I said it, yes. What is that except the removal of our free will?
Right.
Okay? And that is evil. And anyone who's a Christian and still supports the Patriot Act or anything like that, what are they supporting? You know, ask yourself that. I'll put the question to you. If they're supporting that and they claim Christianity and they claim subservience to Jesus, what are they supporting? It's removal of free will. God doesn't support that. Okay, we were given a gift of free will from the Creator. Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of disinformation in the heart of those so-called teachings that we need to sort out.
Very, very interesting. So this perception of being able to see AI versus divine
Mm-hmm.
actually cuts across everything.
Right. It's the ultimate. If you step back far enough, that's what you see. You see a battle between good and evil.
Yeah. It's funny because I read that 1973 was the beginning of the battle of good against evil, according to
Mm-hmm.
Nostradamus. Anyway, that was Watergate. It was there. All of this is involved with. It seems like a very dramatic planet. Do you have any ideas of like timelines or like what's going to happen, or like are we suddenly going to, people are talking about, quote, dimensional ascension or ascension within or genuine ascension. How does that relate to the conversation that we're having?
Anything, Alfred, here's the problem. Even those people who have been time traveling forever and looking into the future, they can see less and less and less as time goes on, because more and more people are starting to wake up. And reality as we know it is collectively created. Okay, that's why there's so many timelines to choose from, because each timeline is a possibility or a possible probability, but it's not definite. Okay, how do we experience a particular timeline? Is through our own choices. Okay,
I see.
our choices decide which timeline we're going to be on. Okay, also collectively our choices steer timelines. If we can get enough people on earth to wake up to the fact that there is a battle between good and evil and we're choosing love over everything else, the world would change tomorrow. But with all the sporting events and with all of the work that people have to do and all of the distractions and the news shows and the game shows and everything that everybody thinks is really important that they have to do, they don't have time to decide whether they're going to choose good or evil. And here's the thing that's interesting to me. This is what I was told. If you're not choosing good actively, then you're probably supporting evil.
That's very profound. And in fact, there's a very strong movement that good and evil don't exist.
Oh yeah, well that's the New Age movement, right? And the New Age movement also says that everything happened, there's this big gray area, but I recommend going to watch some videos done by a gentleman by the name of Mark Passio, who is, admittedly, he said that he's a former Satanist. He said that he indulged in that paradigm or that program to see what it was all about, came out of it and said, I absolutely do not want to have anything to do with that. But while he was in that group or those cults, he was told point blank that the whole New Age was created by the cabal. Exactly for that reason, to spread disinformation. Because he says the idea that there is no such thing as good and evil is part of their disinformation campaign. And why would they use that? Is so that you would not actively choose good over evil, that you would become tolerant of both. Well, if you're not choosing good, then you're supporting evil. And there is a huge drive by the Illuminati and the cabal and the governments to push us toward evil. But if we're not actively fighting against that or standing up against that, and you're just going with the flow is going to take you toward the negative. And by default, you're going to end up in the very bad negative timeline. You have to want to choose good, which is why it's important to realize there is a good. There is such a thing as love and of tenderness and kindness and compassion and caring. This idea that we can watch while in Palestine, while endless bombs are being dropped on the children of Gaza, and endless, and men, women, and children, just because, and then someone says, oh, well, they deserved it. And then most of humanity says, well, I guess that's okay then, because there really is no such thing as good and evil. That's wrong. There is a good and there is an evil. Okay? And we as human beings need to choose which side of that fence we're going to be on. You can't stand in the middle.
Right. I just looked down and I can't believe it, but we've been on here for about 3 hours, which is,
oh my gosh,
actually a record for a panel. And and I think that a tremendous amount has been covered in this panel. Do you want to try and, at least for yourself, summarize some of the major insights that have come forth here?
Yeah, and you know what? I can say it in one word.
Mm-hmm.
Love. Love other people. Another word, care. Care about what's going on around you. That's the solution.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Call him what you will. Yahshua ben Joseph, Christ Michael. What did he say? Love is the way. Love is the way to your ultimate freedom. That will heal. anything and everything. Okay? We need to really work on our ability to love other human beings around us, regardless of the arguments, regardless of what's going on. Care about them. Care about them because we are all we've got. And in the end, the Illuminati knows that we are all connected in the morphogenic field, and we used to be able to talk to each other telepathically from one place, from one part of the planet to the other. We could do that because we're all connected to each other. We're not separate beings. The Illuminati, the Satan worshipers, those that have chosen pure evil, want us to believe differently. Okay? They want us to think that there's nothing else beyond the physical body. We're just souls riding around in a physical vehicle. We're spirits. And on the spirit level, the only thing that matters is love. That's sums it up.
Right, right. Well, how can people follow your work and get in touch with your work and with you?
Well, I run a blog. It's called bradleyloves.wordpress.com. And a lot of the articles that I've written are there. I have over 700 blog posts. Some articles are up to 88 pages long. But it's just go there and start reading. And I recommend watching some YouTube videos from Mark Passio, Jay Parker. I recommend your website for certain. And just get involved in understanding that there are, the solutions are there, but you can't put your head in the sand, especially when it comes to the satanic stuff. No one wants to talk about that. Everybody's very new agey, lovey-dovey, but no one wants to look at the satanic stuff. And in order to understand where we're at, because those are the people behind it, you have to look at that stuff, and you have to understand how that's affecting the energy around us. And of course, interviewing Donald Marshall, I think it would be an excellent idea because he has another piece of the puzzle in the cloning.
Good. Well, thank you very much for being our stalwart anchor of the panel here. It looks like AI really really is saying, we don't want this panel to go forward. I mean, they have made it very difficult for other panelists to participate.
Alfred?
Yeah,
I was just going to say something. There's a reason why.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I understand AI. I know about astral implants, and I fought against them. Okay? I can see in my own life, the very second these dramas start unfolding, and I immediately recognize it for what it is, and only because I recognize it for what it is can I go around it. Okay? These other people, they know they're being attacked. They don't understand what it is. They think, oh my God, bad things are happening in my life. I've got to like duck and hide and run for cover. No, fight it. Fight the AI. Overcome it with your heart and move through it courageously. And then it can't affect you anymore.
Very good. Very good. Well, thank you very much for your work, Bradley, and thank you so much for joining us today. And we look forward to you joining us again in the future as we continue to expose AI, both AIX, the off-planet, and the AIG, the governmental AIs that are running these things, and bring an end to this episode in human history.
Alfred, it was my honor and my pleasure to be here.
Good enough. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.